Welcome to Landlord Diaries, where we talk about midterm rentals and the opportunities behind them. We'll share landlord stories, talk about maximizing investment potential, and discuss how to live the very best landlord life. This podcast is proudly brought to you by Furnished Finder, the place for everything midterm rentals. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content.
It's your host, Kelly Bailey of the Landlord Diaries. If you are watching versus listening, then I'm sure you're wondering, where is Katie? Well, Katie's being a good mama. She had a sick kiddo that just popped up as soon as we were about to start our episode. So if for some reason you watch this episode and you decide, no, don't ever do it again, we want Katie, we want both of you in the dynamic, then feel free to comment and leave us that recommendation. But otherwise, maybe we'll have some episodes here and there where it's just me or it's just Katie. And so we're really excited to bring this episode to you with Terry. Terry is a midterm rental enthusiast and just loves the strategy. So you're going to hear a lot of great feedback of why he prefers midterm rentals. So enjoy this episode, and reminder, this episode and every episode is brought to you by Furnished Finder. We are the go-to place for midterm rentals, or I like to say 30 plus day stays with professional travelers, no short-term rental restrictions, longer stays. And you can list your property for just $99. Enjoy this episode. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review. We really appreciate it. Today we talk with Terry Roberts in Memphis, Tennessee. Terry would like to discuss why midterm rentals are his preferred real estate strategy and how he accomplishes bookings within hours of posting his properties. Terry averages 10-month stays and reaches an almost perfect occupancy rate with one-day flips. Terry owns 6 3-bedroom, 2-bath single-family homes and 1 2-bedroom, 2-bath home. Terry, thank you so much for being here with us today. How's it going?
Going great, and thank you, Furnished Finders, for having me on the podcast. I've really enjoyed using the service, and it's been, we'll get more into that, but it's been a great way to market and to generate leads for my portfolio I have here in Memphis.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And yeah, we just love telling all of our landlord stories. So thanks for being here with us, Terry. I have a fun one for the first question. We've talked a little bit previously, and you mentioned that you and our CEO, Brian Payne, have a lot in common. So why don't you tell us about that?
We do, and we actually worked for the same company at one point.
Cool.
I've changed companies and spent the last 20 years in the medical device industry, much like your founder. And that's kind of how I come to know about the whole travel nurse industry and how that works. And we'll get into that more, but I retired about 2 years ago, and part of my preparation for the retirement was to try to build additional revenue streams. And with my rental properties, I've been able to do that.
Excellent. Yes, we're very excited to dive into that in the episode. So for those of you who aren't aware, this is a great time to add in. We had a founding team. So Brian Payne is one of the founders, and he partnered with his wife, Lisa, as a co-founder, and their brother-in-law, Aaron. So it's a family business that they just saw the need in the market for traveling medical professionals, dove in, started providing housing on their own, and then grew to what Furnished Finder is now today. So such an impressive family and team. And honestly, I've spent time with our management team and our founders, and we just have great people. Like, Brian is just so genuine, and if you've watched any of the podcasts he's on, you can definitely catch that. Now, Terry, so you have 7 investment properties. Why is the midterm rental strategy your preferred route?
Okay, well, I started out like a lot of in rental investors. The market in Memphis was depressed, and some people probably says it still is, but compared to other parts of the country. But I was able to go in and basically I took some stock that I had that had been not performing for more than 10 years, and I took a HELOC, and I was able to go out there and pay cash for rental properties. And
Nice.
uh, I started out just like everybody else, long-term rentals. And then one day I was actually, before I even found out about Furnish Finders, I was on Zillow, and I was scanning through, some of the neighborhoods where my properties were at to see if my properties were priced, appropriately. And I ran across a property that was priced at $3,500 a month, and I thought, well, how can that be possible? And I clicked on it, and it was a fully furnished home. And I thought, well, somebody's just fully, just moved and fully furnished in their home. And I got to thinking about it more. And then I started doing some research, and that's when I found Furnish Finders. And I thought, you know what, this is great. I'm going to try it. And that was about a little over 2 years ago. And I took my smallest property, and it's been an absolute gold mine. And then, but what's funny about it is, Furnish Finders really got their start with travel nurses, and through COVID, that was a huge, big thing. It still is, depending on your market. But I've only ever had one nurse. All my clients are basically corporate travelers, and so I began to pivot, and I've now converted 2 of my 7 properties to midterm rentals, and I'm going to do more as soon as they become available. Nobody's moving. Everybody's just sort of hunkered down right now. Everything's gotten really expensive.
That's a good problem to have. So let's talk more a little bit about your portfolio. So 6 are in Memphis, one's in Mississippi, and I believe all
Right.
of them are 15 years old or newer. So tell us about, and they're 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes where a lot of our audience wonders what's the best size for midterm rentals, and it's such a loaded question. You can't really say there's a right size. A lot of
Right.
our audience probably chooses the 1-bedroom, 1 bath, or the studios. But yeah, tell us more about your specific portfolio.
Well, we'll touch on that. I mean, in that Airbnb space, people are looking to buy these, big, mountain home with all these bedrooms, like a ton of people in there and charge a ton of money. On the midterm rental space, I would think, for me personally, anything, 3 bedrooms or smaller works great. My first property was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's just worked out fantastic. And then more recently, I tried a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, actually 3-bedroom, 3-bath home, and I
Okay,
currently have a gentleman that's living there that's a plant manager of a big defense contractor, and he's building a house nearby. It's going to take about a year to get this process completed, and that's who's in the property. So the 3-bedroom, I've had no problem with it, and I mean, it stays booked, and I get at least 1 or 2 phone calls a week. Even though people see that my properties are booked, they're still calling to inquire about them. And I've had people
great.
that would call me a year in advance for a property, ready, coming to the area. They saw what I have to offer, and they want to be in it.
Excellent. I look forward to diving into some of those tips for our listeners a little
Mhm.
later. Now, let's hone in a little more on the Memphis market, since that's where a majority of your investment properties are.
Right.
I believe from your statistics, you said 53% of the homes in Memphis are rentals. How does that affect your business?
Again, a couple things. I think there's not with that being said, with a lot of people renting in Memphis, there still seems to be an under supply because rents have definitely gone up. We've had some hedge funds come in and buy a lot of rental properties in this market, and they have a lot of turnover. And every year somebody's leaving because they're not pleased with the service they're getting.
Right.
And with that turnover, they increase the rental rates. So the rents have gone up. Um, uh, you also have the Airbnb crowd, which is, mostly a lot of downtown and some other areas. And I think that's actually kind of saturated. So for me, when I look at the midterm space and what we have available here in Memphis, while I do have competition, I don't feel it, and I'm actually
Good.
meeting with somebody later today to help them get started here in Memphis. So,
Oh,
um, you
exciting.
know, I'm not, as long as you've got a good product and you really go all out,
Mm-hmm.
um, booking has not been a problem at all.
Awesome. And you have quite a few long-term rentals right now that you're converting to midterm rentals, and
Right.
I believe you've done the calculations on that profitability and why when those long-term rentals come up available again, why you're ready to jump on the midterm rental strategy. So tell us what you have found for that profitability in your area.
Um, for me, we're getting about 60 to 70% more gross profit per property, and I probably could get more. I mean, I definitely look at my market and I see people charging even more than I do. And, uh, I kind of straddle that fence. Am I charging too much? Do I not charge enough? That type of thing. And I find that if I'm a little under the market, everything just, flies off the shelf. I mean, people, I don't have any problem booking it. So I don't have any vacancies. Um, the market is, underserved. I mean, it's just, the minute anything becomes available, the phone rings and, I'm able to rent it. Now, uh, in doing this pivot, I learned that it's actually less work to do midterm rental
Compared to long-term or compared to short-term?
compared to long term. I'll take the same property, and let's say I sign a lease, I put somebody in long term rental for a year. They're going to drag all their furniture in the property. They're going to hang their pictures. They're going to make it their own. The person that does a midterm rental, they come in, they bring their clothes, they hang them up in your closet, they live there for a year. Those people move out. I've made 60 to 70, 80% more money in that year. And then my turnover is one day. As soon as they're walking out the door, my cleaning crew's walking in. Everything is deep cleaned and taken care of. I might have to replace a sheet or a pillowcase or a pillow or just minor things where if that person's come in and on a long-term rental and they've hung all these pictures, and let's say they were in a big hurry and instead of using the picture hanging nail, they thought, well, this screw will work. And then all of a sudden, you've got all these repairs to do on the wall. You've got to roll the wall. It just takes a lot of work to get a house prepped to my level to put it back out on the market. And I mean, Kelly, I even took the term normal wear and tear out of my leases because what some people consider normal wear and tear and what I consider normal wear and tear are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
So now in my long-term leases, I put, you give me the property back in the same condition I gave it to you, and that protects me from somebody that's just going to come in and wreck it and then want their deposit back and that sort of thing. And by contrast, with short-term rentals, the Airbnb crowd or the RVRBO or whatever, you have people that are coming in. They're coming in for a party, a bachelor party, whatever. They really toss the property, and then you're constantly every other day going in to have to re-clean, reset, restage. And for me, I retired 2 years ago, and when I retired. So I don't want to do all that work. So
Right, right,
midterm is
right.
real is right in the lane that I want to be in. It basically gives me that revenue stream without the job.
Yep. Terry has said quite a few things I want to make sure and come back to and recap. One is pricing. And it was a good reminder that don't just set your price and then leave it. You do want to reevaluate that price throughout the year as your seasons change because the market changes a bit. So stay competitive in your market, and pricing is a great way to do that. Another thing Terry said that I totally agree with is midterm rentals allows you to touch your property more often, but not too much. So it's like you get those few seasons throughout the year to check on the property, make sure it's in good condition. You don't have a bunch of furniture being moved in and moved out. So while the long-term long-term strategy, a lot of people view it as their property. They put holes in the wall and maybe paint the walls. You've got a longer gap in between to get the home ready for new renters. That's not the same with midterm rentals. So you said Memphis market, people talk about the 1% rule, and you did some square footage research, and it was $1.26 per square foot was the average for long-term rentals, and then it was $2.04 per square foot for midterm rentals. So how did you kind of come up with that? A lot of people don't know how to analyze the midterm rental pricing strategy. So did you just take it from your midterm rentals, or how did you come up with your numbers?
Yeah, I basically, it's not that tough. I mean, basically, by using the tools that are available in the market, one of them being furnish finders, and basically looking, I look to see, what is available, and then what's actually rented. Because there's some out there that are available, and you may look, and they're available a lot. So to me, they maybe price themselves out of the market. But I look at what's always rented, and there's more things that can go into it than that. It could be the locations in a great spot. Maybe somebody was not in a great location. But it's just sort of a rule of thumb. The other thing I also would look on Zillow in terms of just scanning and seeing what, for instance, long-term rentals go for in the market, and then I try to, I'll create like a little spreadsheet where I'll look at, is it a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, that sort of thing, and go down the list, and then I basically divide those rents per month into the square footage, and that's just another way to look at it. And like I said, the long-term rentals in this market were about $1.26 a square foot, and the midterms were going for about 204 is what I get. So I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but given less work, better clientele, and more money, I'll go there all day long.
I hear you. That's what I say. I'm a midterm enthusiast. I'm not going to say I'm a midterm expert. I'm a midterm enthusiast. And so we all have these experiences that we learn from and can encourage each other with. And I love that about our show. So the one thing that you found that was really valuable was the furnish finder. Like, in analyzing these numbers, you used, I don't know if y'all know, but the furnish finder map search, the default search is by availability, because they want to put at the top of the list the dates that are available for what the traveler is searching. But when you analyze your market, take advantage of the sort feature by high price and low price. And I think that's really smart when you're analyzing and figuring out, what's going on in your market.
Right. I don't know if you call it trolling or what, but I basically look at what's in the market, and I'm fascinated. I want to learn and see what what the owners are like. What do they? How many do they have? Uh, you know. How committed? One of the things I found in this market is I had some guests come and stay with me, and then a year later they're back. They want to stay again, but the property was rented. So I told them, "Hey, I'll find you something. I'll help you." So I went out. It was a great education. I was able to go out and look at a few properties that I guess are my competitors, and I was shocked. I mean, at it was just. I'm trying to think of the word and be respectful, but it was just a little shabby, and
That's a good word.
and yeah, just a little wet, just beat up and shabby. And what it did, it gave me great confidence that if I could stay above that line, that I'm not going to have any issue keeping my properties rented and keeping pricing very robust and healthy.
Uh-huh. So when you converted your two to midterm strategy, how long did it take to recoup those initial investments, such as the furnishings, any small remodeling projects like changing out a door lock, and then, of course, the supplies, like you got to stock the kitchen, the
Right.
bathroom, make sure they have the first round of toilet paper and paper towels and things like that. So, how long would you say it takes you to recoup that initial investment to get started?
So it takes me 3 months or less to recoup the cost of converting a property, and I think the reason for that is I'm a very frugal value shopper. There are things that are for sale and things that are on sale, and I want to make sure that things are on sale before I buy them, and we negotiate things. So one of the things I give an example about is the appliances. We go into the big box stores in our area. There's Lowe's and Home Depot. I know in other areas there's Menards and some other vendors, but they all have a scratch and dent pile. And we basically go in and buy appliances that are there. And I've never really ever bought anything that actually had a scratch or a dent in it. Typically, what happens is people will buy appliances, and I don't know if it's buyer's remorse or whatever, or they don't like it, or what, it sounds funny or whatever, but it ends up back in the store and they can't sell it as new. And that's where, I come in. And I will typically pay anywhere from like 25 cents to 50 cents on the dollar. And my wife is the negotiator. For whatever reason, people don't want to negotiate with me, but when she walks in, they'll negotiate with her. And she bought a washer and dryer one time for $175 for each unit, and they were about like, they would have retailed new for like $1,600. It was like just the craziest thing.
Yeah, you're making some good points here because appliances are important, and you buy homes that typically are newer than 15 years old. So in general, the quality and upgrades in the home that make up a majority of the built-in features are already extremely nice features, and then you just have
Right.
to accent that with the right furniture. So I think you're onto something really, really big there.
Well, we really shop for furniture. One thing that I noticed when I went out and looked at some of my competitors, it was like a yard sale. And I just didn't want our properties to look like that. I wanted it to be so nice that I would live there, type
Mm-hmm.
thing. But for instance, like on dressers, each room has a dresser. Each dresser is anchored to the wall so it doesn't fall over on anyone. But I'll go to Facebook Marketplace and find, I love solid wood dovetail joints. I make sure it's a really nice piece to begin with, and then I just refurbish them. I paint them. I'll give it some patina, make it look really nice, and then turn that back into the property. And I mean, that's what I have in my own home, in our guest rooms and rooms. I'm upstairs here in my office, and it's just a great way to save money. So by doing that, you can recoup your cost in less than 3 months. I think it would be foolish, you can go out there and you can spend a fortune. And I've watched other podcasts, and I've seen other content providers talk about what they spent, and I just fall out of my chair. I'm thinking, man, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
take you forever to recoup your cost. And, this is a business.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's great is we are telling everyone's individual stories. So while buying new is the only option for some people, buying like new used is a great option for those that have time to go out and really research those details and find the best quality items. So I love that. I'm similar to you, where I like just like finding items at a good price that are good quality and fit the style of the home, because each home is different, each home has a different feel. So while it's nice, like especially in arbitrage, if you're buying into an apartment complex where every room looks the same, then yes, do bulk. Like that's a great idea, because then it's very easy to replace things as it breaks. But in single family homes, each home has a different feel and may require a different style. So, really good conversation here, Terry. Thanks for all the great tips and feedback. Let's continue going. So, this one's a fun one. I've heard you say in a previous conversation that you have a lot of professional sports travelers interested in your home. So, what's drawing them to the Memphis area, and what tips do you have for others that are looking to expand their tenant pool in the midterm rental strategy, especially with professional sports travelers?
Well, again, my very first attempt in the market was, I thought my vertical is travel nurses, and I was going to go after that, and had the one travel nurse come and stay, and I got a 5-star review, and it was all great. And as the property was turning over, I get a phone call from a sports agent, and the sports agent was asking me about the property, and basically had a player in mind that they wanted to be able to put in the property, that wanted a very quiet place that they could rest and not be bothered. And as it turns out, I was able to put in a first round draft pick for St. Louis Cardinals in my property. And then later on, one of his friends that was also a first round draft pick that was coming up through their system also joined him. And they were wonderful tenants, and they did a great job. And like I said, the next year when they were coming back, they called me and they wanted to stay in again. So that kind of opened my eyes up to the fact that, most major cities either have, if you have a minor league ball club, and Memphis does, each year they're trying to house those athletes. And then I have my property down in Mississippi where it's in a college town. And same thing. I get phone calls from the athletic department as they have coaching turnover, or they have a new coach coming into town, or an athletic director or whoever. That's just another avenue for really great clientele that are going to take great care of your property and have the budget to live there.
Yeah, definitely. We talk a lot about uh, relocations and digital nomads and travel nurses and insurance claims, but not too much about the sports travelers. So that's pretty cool. Now, you, as we said in the introduction, that you have a very low vacancy rate uh, as you secure 1 day flips, and typically as soon as you list a property available, within a couple hours the property has been booked. That's incredible. So what tips do you have on how to market your property well for those around the country that are listening to this episode?
Well, I think, I cut my teeth and learned in the long-term market. And I thought at that time, when somebody was going to move out of the property, then I would go in, take a look at things. Then I start getting on the phone to call, I need my handyman guy, or I'm going to paint a room, or my wife's cleaning or whatever. And, next thing you know, you look up and then you've spent a week or two and then you haven't put the property on the market. So again, this is not my hobby; it's a business. I got better, and just got more prepared. And one of the ways when I first went into this business, I would just run into a property, snap 12 pictures with my phone, and then throw them up on the website. They were dark; you could tell that it was a house, but But now, I mean, I go all out with professional photos, virtual tours, video, even the floor plans drawn up professionally. And we can talk about that in a second. But I mean, all of that is already ready to go. And the moment I'm communicating with my clients such that, they know that if there's going to be a change or they're going to move out, or let's say they're now month to month, or they're going to, I just tell them, hey, if you know you're going to, if change is coming, let me know. That way I can market this property. So, if I have 3 or 4 weeks notice, or a month or 2 months or whatever, I just start marketing the product. I put it back up on Furnish Finder, put the date that it's available. And then literally the minute they're walking out the door, we're going in with the cleaning crew to get that property rehabbed and ready to go. I have literally had a property vacant at 11 o'clock in the morning, cleaned by 4 o'clock, and the next one move in by 5 o'clock. I mean, just boom, boom, boom.
I've done it myself as well. Like, don't shy away from that, guys. If you've got a good system in place and want to give it a shot, it's totally doable if you've got a cleaning team that you rely on and know they're going to be there at the time they say they're going to be there.
Right, and I the way I market it with my clients is I just say, hey, let me know when if you know some changes coming, you're leaving. Let me know, because I'm a small operator, and I need to let my cleaning crew know in advance, and by letting them know, I can get on the schedule, so they'll be there the moment change occurs.
Yeah, for sure. So on average, we say a majority of stays are around 90 days. But with the insurance claims and relocations and remodels, you can get into those 6 month to almost a year stays a lot of times. So what type of travelers are you seeing that gives you a 10-month average stay?
Well, again, I started out with travel nurses and had the one, and they stayed 13 weeks, just, textbook deal, and they were off to their next assignment. And, I guess just the way I market my properties, I've had the sports folks who are there for, 7, 8 months during the season. And then I've had healthcare professional travel, doctors, things like that. And they come to this market, and they're just here for a year or so. I mean, they basically, it's just my numbers now, depending on when you take the snapshot, if I take it from the beginning, it's 10 months. But if I take it from the last year, it's a year, because people are coming in, and like I said, the guy that's building his house, and they're getting all that done. I mean, it'll take a year,
Yep.
So, Kelly, we can talk about this next year, and my midterm rentals are all about a year,
Yep.
So and I wouldn't turn someone down. I list my properties as being a month or longer, and I wouldn't turn down a month stay. But I sure like those ones that are 6, 7, 8 months, 9 months long. It just
So, Terry, I'm going to recap some of what we've talked about, and you're just a wealth of information. We appreciate you being here. But, guys, Terry said with the midterm rental strategy, he loves the fact that it's better clients, that it's less wear and tear. He's got 55 to 70% net revenue increase over long-term rentals, and he loves that it's less work than short-term rentals. So in general, Terry, where all are you marketing your properties?
My main one is Furnish Finders, obviously. And what I like about Furnish Finders is that it generates leads, so that I can run my business and make decisions on what's best for my business. And it's not just somebody going online booking my property, and I have no say in it. I also put it out there on Zillow as corporate rental, fully furnished, and I do get some leads off of that. But the vast majority, the bulk of it, is Furnish Finders.
Okay, great. Well, let's transition to that section that we call landlord logistics. I'm excited for some of those actual processes that Terry uses and things that he's got in place that can encourage each of you. And, we all think outside the box and think differently. And there's so many episodes I'm like, hey, that's a great idea. We've got one about keys, and Dave and I have the worst bag of keys for all of our rentals. And so someone gave us a tip on if you go to a really good, don't like rather than going to Home Depot or Lowe's, go to a locksmith and they can engrave like a number or a letter on your key,
Right.
and then you don't have to question which house it belongs to. It's like you have your own code. That's pretty cool. So let's get into landlord logistics. And Terry, we had a previous question, and I don't know if you want to answer this or not, so I'll leave it up to you. But on one of our episodes, there was a comment, and someone asked, can we start hearing more about how utilities and mail work? So, are your utilities unlimited and your price covers it? Do you have a cap on your utilities? And then on the mail side, do you get a lot of junk mail? Do your tenants actually switch their mailing address to your home? So what's that process like for you? And if it's not a great question, we can just skip it.
No, that's a great question, and it's things that are coming up as I get further along in this uh, midterm rental space. Uh,
Uh
the,
huh.
the utility thing. Work hard to make sure that my properties are as energy efficient as they can possibly be. I have all LED bulbs. I make sure that my from an insulation standpoint, everything's taken care of. If I've had to replace HVAC units, I make sure I don't go back with the builder grade, but I go with the high SEER rated units. So I put the work in on the front end to make sure my utilities are low. But in saying that, what I might consider comfortable, other people think is not cool enough or not warm enough. And then, maybe they keep the unit on all the time and they're gone at work and not even there in the property, but every fan in the house is on and the unit's running and, uh, the meter's running. So
Right.
I have had one situation where I had a tenant. They basically moved into the one of my properties, and they kept the HVAC unit fan on all the time, like 24 hours a day. And I just gave them a call and said, hey, there's ceiling fans in every bedroom, in every room. If you like a fan, let's do that. And they were very graciously complied with that, and it stopped kind of driving me nuts. All of my units are on an app, so basically I can see the temperatures, where they're set, are the units on, that type of thing. And I've got one client that he literally leaves every morning at 6 a.m. and comes in at 7 p.m. every night. So
Wow.
I said, hey, can we put that on the schedule so when you're not there during the week, it goes down? No problem. So that's one way of
Excellent.
handling it. But I would say this, depending on my market, the climate, I might look at a cap on something like that. And that's just so we're both participating. Uh, myself and my client are participating in being good stewards of everybody's money, both theirs and mine.
That's a great way to put it.
So,
Yeah.
as far as the mail's concerned, I mean,
Let's before we move on to the mail. So, for those that like what you're saying about the electricity, do you use a certain type of thermostat, and what
yes,
is that app that you use?
yeah, I like Honeywell. I'm kind of old school. I know there's Nest and there's all these others out there, but Honeywell does a great job, and they're also a big commercial provider. So they've got an app that you can download that links up with their equipment, and it's just so simple. And the only difficult part about the whole thing is getting everything on your network. That those are the days I'm ready to pull my hair out because at some point I end up on the phone with some 16-year-old that's working remotely in IT in some foreign country somewhere that's walking me through this so graciously because I'm
Right.
too old school. But once we get them up and running, they're great. And um, uh, when properties are vacant, I can go in and basically have a baseline of heat or cooling going on so that things aren't not just sitting there. But I'm also not spending a ton of money.
And Terry made a very good point. don't shy away from communicating
Right.
with your guests. We are in the hospitality business, and sometimes that takes those hard conversations that don't have to come across as passive aggressive
Right.
or awkward. Like, it's just communicating
Right.
why it's important that the HVAC is not always running. Like, if it's, let's say they set the temperature really low, well, you can educate your guests on, hey, it's actually really not beneficial for the system to go below this temperature. So, do you need some fans, or just like what Terry was saying, offer solutions, but not at the cost where your home is experiencing issues because you don't want to have those conversations. So those are really good points, Terry. And yeah, what about the male side?
On the male side, I mean, I really haven't had to do anything because, most of my clients, everything's done electronically. Email and banking, everything's done electronically. So I haven't had to do anything.
So, Terry, there's a couple things that I know you wanted to share, and we're going to wrap up with those. So, one
Okay.
is the monthly expense of the insurance side, and you have shopped around and found how to navigate insurance where you're making more profit on your midterm rentals because you've saved on the insurance side. So, tell us about that and what that percent of savings is.
I was with the same insurance company for 41 years. And then when I got my rental properties, I basically added that company to my rental properties. And, I never shopped it around. And then we had some storm damage, and my insurance company wouldn't cover that. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to shop this around. And I did that with another company who gave me a great rate, but then after a year, they had a very aggressive increases, 12%. And they basically were kind of scratching back my savings that I had achieved by going to them. So I went back on the market and started looking. And this was a really important thing, as I was able to find an insurance broker that represents more than just one company. And by doing that, they also manage business accounts, not just individuals. And basically, I was treating my business like an individual homeowner. And by taking my entire portfolio of properties and approaching this broker that could basically uh, look at my business as one, I now have one policy over all of my properties, or at least the 6 in Tennessee, are all under the same policy. I carry a $5,000 deductible because, again, my insurance is there for catastrophic events. I
Right.
even have earthquake insurance. I mean, I'm covered, if something really terrible happens. But if it's something small like a pipe leak and it's a $1,500 sheetrock repair and plumbing charge, which I just had one of those last month, I pay that. I'm self-insured for anything under $5,000. But by doing that, I was able to save about 40%. And it was really eye-opening. And it saves you a lot of money. So my tip there is, if you have a bunch of rentals and they're all on separate policies, see if you can't put them all together and bundle that, and see if you can't get some savings.
Yeah. It is so funny how similar our business styles are. I think there's many things we do differently, but there's a lot of things you and I do the same. And Dave and I have an insurance guy as well that shops around, finds us the best insurance policy, bundles it all together. But then we also take that and ask him to about the rental insurance side as well. So not only
Mm-hmm.
is he providing the insurance for us, he's in the homes that we own in our belongings, he's also able to provide the renter's insurance for our guests checking in, and it's like $10 a month per family or something. It's very affordable, and he navigates it in a unique way. And then it's just that extra step that we don't have to wonder, did the guests get insurance, we know because we said, hey, we're going to take care of you and go ahead and cover the renter's insurance for you as part of that hospitality midterm rental package. And it's just like an extra $10 per month for us, and it makes it a nice seamless process for them because you're already getting the first name, last name, and email address during your tenant screening. Well, the only additional thing I needed on top of that for my insurance guy is date of birth. So it made it very streamlined to all offer it together in one place.
Great
Yeah.
idea.
Thank
I
you.
love that. I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
steal that one.
Yeah, especially if you already have the person, just ask them,
Right,
"Hey, can we add this
right.
on?" And there's another episode that I think is already released by the time that Terry's comes out, with a lady in Florida who she does massive research on insurance and just loves that side of the business, and so she knows the right questions to ask to make sure you have the right insurance policy in place. So listen
I
to that
can't wait.
episode as well. But
Can't-
okay, I have one more question for you, Terry, and you've learned a few lessons over the years through real estate. One being you make your money when you buy the house, and you make your money when you pick the right tenants. And I believe you
Mhm.
started in real estate buying distressed properties, renovating them, then renting long term. And now you've switched the midterm style because of the profit available compared to long term rental rates right now. And just that, like we said, that ease of it's professional travelers. They take care of your property well. So on those two lessons learned, the you make your money when you buy your house, and you make your money when you pick the right tenants. What do you want to say about those two things to wrap up the episode?
Well, my mentor uh, has over 300 doors, and that's the lesson he taught me at the very beginning: is that you make your money when you buy the property. And I see a lot of people, and again, everybody's style's different, everybody's plan's different, but uh, I'm a value shopper, and right now at this moment, I mean, I'm not buying any properties because prices have really gone up in this market, and interest rates are not favorable at all. So, like anything else, it's a cycle. I think there'll be some opportunities in the near future that'll come, and I'm going to be back in that market. Not so much for myself, but for I've got three daughters, and I'm getting my children involved. So
Great.
I'm building their portfolio because I always said, I'd give you everything I had if I could start over right at your age with everything I know right now. So basically, I'm trying to impart some of that onto my children so that they can get an earlier start than I did. But look for good deals. I mean, shop and be diligent. No, don't just get excited. I see people get excited, and then then they end up paying over asking, and they get these crazy deals going, but it works on paper. Well, I don't want to be the guy that has to stick the landing each month to make everything work.
Right.
I sleep really good at night knowing that I've got a lot of margin built into what I'm doing. I don't worry about a thing. But that's one of the biggest things that I've learned. And one part of the question, I'll just throw this in there: banking is so important. You need to have your own personal banker. Find a bank, maybe one of the smaller local bank that you can go into. Tell them what you're doing. Uh, get them to jump in the boat with you and be on board with you. Get a personal banker that can make things happen for you. I have that. It's fantastic. I don't have to wonder or worry about anything or wonder where I'm going to begin. I mean, they have more capacity than I have guts to do it. I mean, I could be out there today buying more properties and rolling. So it's neat to know. It's almost like you got your gun loaded and it's loaded. You ready. Versus you're going hunting and you're worried that you don't have the ammo. So those are my tips. Get a personal banker. consolidate your insurance, be a value shopper, treat your guests like family, and make this a business, not a hobby.
Well, we so appreciate you being here, Terry. So many great tips for our listeners. If you have a question for Terry or want to know something more about his business, then as always, we put the link to his Furnish Finder page in the show notes on YouTube and on the audio version as well. And most of us as hosts don't want to lose 50% of our leads by not providing our phone number. So you'll have his phone number there. You can message him through Furnish Finder if you want to connect that way. So we really appreciate you, Terry. Any last things you'd like to say for the audience to tell them goodbye?
Well, just longest journey begins with the first step. Don't be afraid. Get yourself educated. The shortest distance between poverty and wealth is the distance between your ears. Learn everything you can. Get yourself a good mentor and get in this business.
Awesome. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'd so appreciate your 5-star reviews on wherever you get your podcast. Have a great day.
Thank you.